Welcome back to the North American LCS Countdown, where we're about 14 minutes away from kickoff. Before we start week one, or rather, week two. This is week two.
Yeah.
Let's take a listen to the comms and what they were like, rather, in that first game of the split as we welcome back Mike Check.
Get this show on the road. I need to hit Diamond 5 in solo queue already.
Same.
I hope they're making bets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you guys have so many flags.
Pretty low. Trust my GP, guys. I can't carry.
Trust my mouse R. I can press R.
Okay, let's go.
Let's go. Use him!
Yeah,
Hey,
if they go for Dragon, we can just
yeah,
burn.
yeah,
I think they're looking Dragon.
Okay, I'll
They will get full Baron tempo. Do we have orbs? Yeah, we have one.
I don't have one. My hands are cooldown. I think don't go.
They're starting.
We have to walk up. Go.
They can do it really fast.
Rise ulti? I can ulti us in. Not that. I'm just gonna ulti for vision.
Okay.
Oh, I don't have ult for 1 second.
They're gonna end, I think.
It's 4K. It's 4K. We can buy. No. Shyvana. I'm looking here.
Shyvana.
I'm gonna ulti out.
And then Baron.
Hey, Kalista, let's go.
Bang.
I'm back.
Yo, I'm gonna stay on the right side now, and you guys go in the alley on the left, okay? I'm just gonna go opposite of the alley.
Okay.
He's the only one who
He's
can...
gonna flash on you, okay?
Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna ulti out, people.
It's time. Go. This is
Hey, light HBO.
No.
I'm gonna ulti.
Not dead. I'm looking.
Hey, go to Costa after. Go to Costa.
Okay, Kalista no flash. Okay, we can end. Just mid. And that.
Good job.
Good job, guys. Good.
Wait, Eugene, you're right. We are being beast.
A little bit insight into the comms of both of these teams from week one. I will say that although there was clear communication from both squads, it seemed like Team Liquid operating just a slight percentage better and cleaner.
Yeah, obviously some of that's going to happen with it being easier to shot call from ahead than from behind. But when we talk about that team having synergy from day one, the comms already pretty clean.
I like TSM's comms too when they were talking about the Baron situation. It just broke down when it got to execution, where like Baron, Bjergsen used the ult to scare them off Baron, but then Mike Young still took it, and it was a good idea where they're like, we have blue trinkets, we'll try and trade for the Dragon and scare them off. Just didn't work out when they played it.
Opening weekend is behind us, and eyes will be on many players to step up. So, for week two, here are our ones to watch. We have Licorice, Stixxay, Mithy, Honda, and Cody Sun. First up, C9's top laner, Licorice.
Yeah, and he has a tall order this week with the top laner he's playing against. He's playing against Huni and Someday. But after the first game last week, he really stepped up in his game against Golden Guardians. Tons of Kled roams, really actually carried that game in a lot of ways. And if he is going to be a top lane carrier for Cloud9, that team is super good, which is why we have to keep our eyes on him this week.
Yeah, I think I was saying that he's one of the most important players in the league just in terms of how it's going to stack up. If he's able to compete against the people that he's playing this weekend, then C9 looks like a top team. And if they can't, they're going to have a hard time pushing other teams to their limits.
Yep. Next up, a guy that we've got questions about, CLG's Stixxay.
Yeah, talked a lot about this guy already. He was such a beast in 2016. But that was 2 years ago. He needs to show a larger performance. Wake up, get into the game. I do love that picture.
Wake up, Stixxay!
Yeah. They can draft around him. They have the mechanics in that lane. If they want to crash bottom lane, they can. He's shown it before, but he just really is pivotal to their success because they need multiple carry threats.
That's always the concern with that bot lane. Even when it was still with Aframu, there were some games where they just kind of got blown out of the water, and they need to start becoming way more consistent so the top side of the map, which has a lot of playmakers in it, have that freedom.
Next up, one of our imports from EU, TSM's Mithy, was supposed to help with communication for this roster.
And he has a lot of pressure on him, and in that mic check, you could hear that he is still a very vocal member of the team, but there's still clear synergy issues with everybody else. So you want to see him keep being a vocal leader, keep getting them to make moves on the map, and then the rest of the team follows up correctly.
Yeah, and they let go Biofrost and said it was because of communication. So they need to show better communication in game. No matter what's happening, Mithy will have to step up as some type of a leader. Won 3 European titles in a row, is coming to a team that's won 3 North American titles in a row. They can't be looking like they don't have communication with this guy on that roster.
Anecdotally, one of the smartest players that I've ever had the pleasure of interacting with. Yeah, now it's about bringing that intelligence, those smarts on the Rift to the team and picking up some wins. Next up, FlyQuest Onda, one of our rookies who really impressed last week in their victory.
Breakout performance against TSM in their first victory. Huge kill participation, great Zac play. Really made the smart call instead of going over aggressive, was able to play this game out in a long fashion. And absolutely a guy we have to keep our eyes on to see if he can continue his performance.
He was someone that drew Flame's attention as well. That's one of the key players that Flame wanted to play with this season. They got him, and now we're starting to see why Flame holds him in such high regard.
All right, last but certainly not least, 100 Thieves, Cody's son.
And he is the guy who's supposed to be a huge beast in the ball lane. Afro was talking about how much he learns from him, and he has had his ups and downs over the course of his career. First with Immortals didn't look great. Second split, much better. Worlds had a bit of a oopsie moment.
A little oopsie.
Yeah.
Minor. It could happen to anyone.
So
really,
what we want to see is that consistency that we're liking to see out of 6A, but kind of similarly here with Cody's son, where he continues to put in strong performances.
and he had a really good week 1. So gotta watch him. To see
Week 1.
if
You
he-
gotta keep pushing it forward. Now, time for my favorite part of the day, prediction time. But due to your performances in week 1, gentlemen, we decided to bring in another professional for our predictions. This time from a very trusted source, George Washington. As you can see here, Mark's predictions, Jat predictions for the day, as well as their season totals, and the coin, as he submitted his predictions from earlier today.
Mark's buying Foxcoin?
I'm
I thought
buying
I was the only one on Foxcoin.
I've flipped my position, you know, buy low, sell
the coin is not on Foxcoin.
No.
No, you just bought high, man. They're
Yeah,
2-0.
no,
You just
I'm
bought in
gonna
on
crash.
Foxcoin very high.
Don't listen to me.
I did notice a discrepancy in the very first game of the day. Clutch
Yeah.
Gaming CLG, though, between the two of you. Jat still riding that CLG train, even on the 0-2 week 1.
Yeah, so when I'm doing predictions, much like if you're playing fantasy sports, you don't get rid of all your good players and all your preseason expectations after the first week.
I do.
You should. You should not. You should not.
No, I don't.
But really, I did see things that were promising to me about CLG, and I still believe in this roster. I am probably going to pick CLG every game until at least week 4.
Wow.
Right?
Or
That's what I'm going to
until they
reset
win.
my
Team Liquid,
expectations.
like, I don't know. That's ballsy, but I would
see.
say for me, Clutch Gaming, I liked what I saw week 1. They had a rough time versus Echo Fox, but we're talking about this team being a contender now. So if that's the opinion that we're holding, I don't think that loss is too brutal for them. And then their win was very dominant. So I'm still a little on the fence to them, where CLG didn't really impress me at all.
I'm really surprised you picked Clutch. This will be fun.
Yeah, let's have some
And I'm
fun.
surprised you picked Echo Fox. I thought I was going to keep
I told you,
picking Echo Fox.
I admit that I undervalued how good
You picked
Huni is. How
FlyQuest over
dominant.
them.
That's the one that surprised me, was the Echo
Yeah.
Fox call
Oh,
here from. I will point out that
Their red
coin,
side.
the coin called
Yeah.
Optic Gaming over TSM, so the coin predicts an 0-3 start to the season. I want to challenge you guys. Justify the coin's pick for Optic over TSM.
I think it's actually super justifiable. I was worried about a lot of the coin's choices because I do not want to lose to a coin. And
it's
there was a lot of
possible
close
there.
matchups, and specifically the coin is going to be willing to pick an upset.
Yes.
Right? These are 2 0-2 teams, let's not forget. And Optic had closer games than TSM did in the first week. They have a former MVP as an AD carry, which doesn't happen on TSM. And they have a mid laner who is 6-1 all-time against Bjergsen in Power of Evil. There's a lot of ingredients for an upset in that matchup.
Hashtag coin win. Let's go.
No.
I want to see
No.
I want to see tears from my analyst by the end of the day. And while we referenced that CLG and Clutch Gaming matchup, and CLG looking to pick up their first win, we decided to talk to Rainover, who shared what it's like to face his former teammate, Febivin.
First of all, I'm very excited to face them, especially Febivin. Him and I are still really close, and I think I would like to gank mid slightly more against him. And I'm pretty sure Febivin is an aggressive player, so he'll die to most of my ganks, and I know it.
I mean, that's interesting because we've talked a lot about the duo, the jungle mid duo on the other side of the matchup for Clutch Gaming. And so with about 5 minutes left to go for Champion Select of Game 1, I want to ask you guys which of these, or rather what these teams need to focus on if they want to pick up the win. So we're doing win conditions again. Jat, as you've been hot on CLG all season long, I'm going to have you argue for Clutch Gaming.
Yeah, believe me, the doubt in my mind makes this no problem. As far as how Clutch Gaming would be to
justify it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we already know Febivin and Lyra are both super good.
Yeah.
We've also seen the way CLG got Darshan ahead in their first game last week and couldn't snowball through Rainover on Darshan. So if Clutch Gaming just spends all of their draft getting a jungle mid duo that wins, you play around that mid lane, and with the current performances of CLG's bottom lane with Stixxay, if Febivin and Lyra take control of the mid lane, he won't be able to win the game for CLG, and Clutch Gaming might end up winning off that. Throw everything at mid lane. for Clutch is their win condition.
All right, Jazz looking at the mid lane. How about for the side of CLG? Rainover hinted at maybe putting attention towards the mid, but do you agree there?
I mean, you obviously want to put some attention there so that you don't have Lear and Feb running wild over you. But for me, I think the two things that they should focus on, get Darshan going and stabilize your bot lane. While I agree that they didn't win when they snowballed topside, the bigger problem for me was just that draft and how strong the Zilean pick was into so much of what CLG comp was trying to do. So even though they did snowball, the comp was at a disadvantage from the very get-go. So I don't worry about that too much. Darshan has an advantage here against solo. That's one of the most abusable places on the map for Clutch Gaming this entire time. And then you just have to worry about your bot lane. You can't get blown up like they did in their second game. So make sure you know that you just play the matchup, get a stable matchup. And against Apollo and Hakuho, they're not so explosive that they can blow you open from there, quite like what happened against 100 Thieves.
Jad, top of the day, you talked about some drafting issues for CLG from week 1. I want to kind of dive into that a little bit. Are the issues that you identified champion to player, right? So that the player picked for the champion and the player not being able to pilot it? Or is it more the way that the champions, you know, as a group of 5 were picked together and maybe not having win conditions that support a CLG victory?
Yeah, so without getting too in the weeds, CLG's first game against Cloud9 was Ornn in the top lane, who they ended up snowballing to get ahead thanks to Rainover camping that lane. And after that, they were meant to be a pick composition with Malzahar and then get turret dives off of that.
Right.
They were not expecting Zilean to be played against him. So that caught them by surprise, and their compositions, win conditions, were already set by the time the Zilean blocked it. Right? So what happened then the next game is they're like, man, that was easy for Jensen to counter with Zilean. Give them Malzahar. We'll pick Zilean. They can't pick us off. We'll win. But they weren't practiced on that strategy. So I feel like they got caught by surprise and then tried to do it without enough practice. Now, hopefully, with 6 days to rest, recuperate, recover, all those great things, that doesn't happen again.
I mean, the thing is, you had Jensen on Zilean, and he was able to force flashes 1v1, get a solo kill versus Huhi, and that wasn't the same performance when they started trying to play it. So that was a bit of a concern, but I think there were so many other comp problems in that game. Talk about the Ornn. There's a Braum on the other side, which is the kind of best out-of-lane support you can pick into Ornn because it negates his 30-second cooldown ult engage that is so powerful and one of the reasons you pick Ornn.
And also, away from the win conditions, I'm still arguing for CLG now.
Yeah, what happened?
I trust Zix enough that those drafting mistakes will quickly be corrected. Week 1 draft reads are much more difficult than week 2 draft reads after you've seen what the best shot a team has. And CLG usually adjusts to that. Whereas you have the core of Envy on this Clutch Gaming team whose drafts were usually bad last year. And I know David Lim has been around for a while, but I haven't seen great draft adaptation from his teams in the past. So I am hoping that CLG wins draft.
I mean, it's something to be said, right? That Zix's presence not be understated as a coach, right? This guy has been looked at as one of the premier coaches in the North American LCS for so long. So you want to believe that with time, week over week, right? He will whip this CLG roster into shape.
Am I allowed to my win condition now? My argument for Clutch
Go
Gaming?
for it.
All right,
Say
great.
whatever you want to say.
Lyra is a better jungler than Rainover, so one of those advantages that you talk about, it's basically true.
Last year he was.
Yeah, absolutely last year.
2016 though.
He wasn't in the league. The point would be if what they did in the C9 game was so impressive was Rainover just taking advantage of Svenskeren and constantly going in for these cycles of abuse that happen in the top side. That won't happen versus Lyra, I'm pretty sure. He won't make the initial mistake that set that up and then won't keep falling into the same trap. So that's my concern, is that what is good for CLG was Rainover's early game won't work against Clutch.
A lot of different factors that could swing this matchup. Either way, it's an exciting one to kick the day off with. We're going to throw it over to Azael and Freak to get the games underway.
Thank you very much, Dash. Speaking of exciting things to get the day off with, I've got Azael here next to me. It's a beautiful place to be. I'm excited. It is. It's phenomenal. It's outstanding. It's stupendous. And this is going to be a fun one. Week 2 of the North American LCS, we are still on patch 8.1, so all of you at home don't have to buy Relic Shields and 80 carries anymore. Still going to be here this weekend. Then we're going to be done with that. Maybe we'll have some more aggressive games. But that's just a quick state of the game where we're at, where we're going to see some Relic Shields, some Targon's Brace, and some tank supports.
Yeah, definitely so. And this is going to be a really interesting game for me. You know, I think it is pretty hard to predict who is going to come out on top. We saw, you know, Mark and Jat both kind of split here on where they think the victory is going to go. And to me, a lot of it is going to come down to how Febiven is playing. You know, he has been a guy who there's such high expectations for, who was an absolute monster in Europe last split, and he has not really been able to reach that level just yet. It's obviously just 1 week of games for sample size, so we'll see how he's going to improve, how he's going to kind of work with this team throughout the coming weeks.
And well, you have to believe improvement, the name of the game. Almost all of these rosters shook up about half of their players, sometimes even more. So you expect all these teams will gel and improve over time. Evelyn's still off the table from the Counter Logic Gaming side of things. Don't want to give that one over to Lyra. Zoe off the table. No Aurelion Soul for Huhi, which is not a big surprise. We did go unpicked once in the first week and didn't get picked up there otherwise, but now it's time for the first pick to come through after Ornn is off the table. And Clutch Gaming, for the first time all season, don't get to play Ornn, despite being on blue side here, but they're going to put Gangplank onto Solo, a player that, again, many are thinking is maybe the weakest player on the roster. If you want to really search it, maybe the weakest player in the LCS. That would be like the big weakness.
I think that's a hard sell.
That's a hard sell, but I think you could consider that in the conversation. Either way, putting him on a carry top lane up against Darshan, who we know is one of the better top laners in North America.
Yeah, certainly so. But the thing is with GP, you still can play it mid lane if you have to. If they feel like, oh god, this is such a bad matchup, you can flex that around. That being said, there's a reason that people are picking GP so early and so often. It's because it's very safe against many, many picks. Yes, there are these types of solo queue counters, you know, super aggressive laners, people with Ignite and these sorts of things where you can kind of push in and try to dive the GP.
Yep.
In professional play, it's generally played so much more slowly and people are not willing to take these risks, which allows GP oftentimes to farm, to scale, and to have a lot of relevance in the mid lane game.
And now we'll see what comes through for the last pick on the first phase for
Don't
Clutch
think we're
Gaming.
getting a blind
No,
Fizz,
Azir makes a lot more sense. Huge priority on that champion, of course. Both Ryze and Malzahar, the other two big mid laners left unbanned, available for Huhi if he wants them here for himself. Solo, as we mentioned before, going to get a second game on Gangplank now, and Averis for the first time this season onto Apollo.
And this is already an incredible amount of scaling power from the Clutch Gaming draft. I mean, you have two solo laners who are extremely powerful in the late game. CLG is kind of gifted this second pick of the mid lane. They are going to have counter picks on both the solo lanes due to the way that Clutch Gaming has drafted, and there's not full parity in the picks in the early stages. So, you know, CLG kind of has to decide where do they want to focus their bans. Do you try to ban out Lyra, who is obviously going to be a threat, to keep Reignover in a more advantageous matchup, or are you more concerned about some of the things like the supports? Also for Clutch Gaming, I'm looking at them to try to target Darshan a little bit more in the second round of bans here.
You think that Vlad's going mid?
I think that Vlad could very well be going mid. I think that Vlad can work well into GP and is one of the champions that, yes, you can kind of set up dives very well also, you know, utilizing the pool to kind of drop aggro and these sorts of things, but I was kind of looking at more as a mid lane Vlad. I think it can go either way.
Okay, and that might be what they're counting on here. Clutch Gaming have not yet to ban anything in the mid lane or solo lanes at all right now, as Alistar's their first ban. They are removing champions from Lyra, as you surmised before, so Jarvan off the table. Taric will actually join the ban list as well. Of course, CLG gets first dibs on supports here, and they get to wait longer. Even though they know both solo laners, they can wait, as they're not going to get that contested anymore. Can rush pick a support here. We're going to see what that final ban for Clutch Gaming is. Braum still available, Tom Kench as well, unless I'm misreading anything. So a lot of the high priority tank support still up there.
Certainly so, and as we learned from Jet's stats, Taric was actually the most picked in the NALCS Week 1 for supports, but it was not the higher presence. I believe Braum, and I think it was also Tom Kench even, had higher priority as far as the bans.
Plus ban,
exactly. Yeah. So the presence was very high, and it looks like those are going to be the supports perhaps getting selected.
Yeah, well, Jackson, all this doesn't really make much sense unless it's Jack's jungle, which I doubt heavily, but...
We have seen Jack's jungle, though, a handful of times in pro play recently. True. It's actually something that has been popular in solo queue for quite a long time, but it's getting more traction in pro play. Zach certainly more standard, though, and seeing this combo, I think, with Azir works very, very well. You can set up these kind of shuffle plays where, you know, the Zac jumps in. If you actually hit the other mid laner, it sets up for a very easy stream of shuffle from the Azir, pushing them very far back. Even combining that further with the Zac ultimate, you can actually move people such massive distances, and that can be pretty strong. And Hakuo going to go for what's kind of a signature pick for him.
Yeah, it's his first Morg of the season, but I like this a lot. I'm really happy seeing a lot of teams, and that's going to be a flex Jace. I actually still don't know if it's Jace or Vlad on which of these two roles. We saw the Narban earlier, but to go back to the point on supports, I really do like seeing players to some small degree attack in the metagame, saying we know you're playing mostly defensive tanks with kind of poor engage tools, but they're good frontliners. So they're picking more lane-dominant ranged champions that are going to auto-win lane, but then still scale well into team fights. We've seen Janna, we've seen Morgana be the big two to do this. And yeah, I think there was a scaling advantage to pick the Spell Thief support down to the bot lane, because you're not going to get punished anyway by a Braum Ezreal lane, and you get to keep them under turret.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, I feel like that's more true with Ajana and champions like that, though, than I do with Morgana, because Morgana is a more high variance champion, in my opinion. You know, bindings can hit a really big target and offer a lot, or miss completely, or hit just the tank, right? And yes, Black Shield's always going to be powerful, but the ultimate, sometimes can be difficult to get a really powerful ultimate off. So while I do think it is strong in lane and can offer, a lot of power against things like especially the Sejuani ultimate, I don't think it's as much guaranteed power as some of the more defensive supports like the Jannas and the Namis and these sorts of things.
What we had seen Biofrost play Janna. We're not going to go for it here, and we are, of course, at the end of Champion Select. Vladimir in the top lane. Who he going to play Jace up in the mid versus Azir? We've seen a lot of people bring Poke as the supposed counters to Azir. His range not exceptionally long anymore after the changes from the end of 2017. We hope to stay out of range of that. We've seen, for example, Xerath out of Bjergsen, though it did not win. CLG Gaming 0-2 in the season, hoping to pick up their first win here in Darshan on the Vladimir versus the Gangplank. You heard Mark talk about it. CLG's top lane may be a big winning condition for them. CLG Gaming maybe need to focus in the mid lane. We'll see what happens here as we're into our third game of the season for both these teams. Week 2, day 1. Here we go.
It's going to be a good one. This is actually double spellbook for the solo laners of CLG. They both are starting off here with Ignite, so potentially a lot of kill pressure. And CLG is moving out as a 5-man squad. They're actually stacking, and they could look to try to set something up here around mid lane. This is one of these plays where Huhi kind of tries to move forward so you can't see them stepping into the brush. Lyra is not going to know that there's 4 CLG members in there, and this is one of the things CLG was always kind of famous for.
Q is going to be a slow.
That might be a flash.
One auto. He's going to jump to do it. And starting E, I believe, is not the ideal level 1 skill for clearing the jungle.
It's actually the worst skill to start for clearing the jungle. The W is the normal start. You usually go W, then Q, then your E at level 3. And then you do start maxing it. So they did not get a flash, but they are going to significantly slow down his first camp if he is not getting a leash. I'm expecting him to get one now, because otherwise I think it could be fairly painful. Either way, no real cost to that for CLG except for the preparation, and they get a little advantage.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch for here. Looking as we get the jungle camps to spawn out. Lyra's going to need himself a pretty decent leash. Morgana and Bear should be okay at that, and won't be a major issue for him. Dematerializer on Darshan should be fun to get him a bit more lane priority himself, and takes a Q to the face and a sack of gold for a solo, so wins the RNG to start it out.
Take it back, CLG's losing.
Yeah.
GP got a sack of gold. There you go.
That is definitely what is happening here. Quick pick up there, ran over E, auto attack, grabs his blue buff, and yep, he's a good 4 or 5 seconds faster than Lyra right now, and we'll see if he can pay that forward anytime later on. Zach, not the strongest early game jungler. He lost a lot of his health in his clear several patches ago, back when he was like ubiquitous. He's gonna have to scale up a little bit longer.
And this is gonna be very interesting. Having double Ignite for your soul laners, I think, gives Reignover some more options as far as setting up these ganks, looking for early kills, because the Ignite does offer so much of that early kill pressure. And Hui is looking to be pretty aggressive here on Febiven, and this is going to be a very interesting matchup because so much of the credit for Clutch Gaming in their first win was given to Febiven, was given to Lyra, and how they played around mid lane with that duo. And now Febiven, he was kind of counterpicked here by the Jace. We're going to have to see how he holds up because there were such massive expectations for this guy coming over from Europe.
Yeah.
He was the first team all-EU mid laner.
Lyra's got like no HP. That should be passive out. I think Flash won't even matter, so knocks him into the air, and now they're going to have to get probably solo to TP to stop one of these blobs from dying. Looks like damage up is pretty good. Okay. Yeah, there's the TP. So he's going to be back into a real Zac right now and jumps right back in. And Reignover flashes over the wall, and Lyra will stay safe, but that is 2 summoners down off of a good invade from Reignover.
Yeah, really well done. And honestly, off of the level 1, you could even say, right? Because that slowed down his clear a fair bit. And Hui and Febiven fighting again once more.
Yeah, he missed the E's. That would have done some damage if he had landed onto him, but either way, walks right back out. And yeah, we can talk about how Febiven has done, because this was the all-EU LCS first team mid laner. This was the guy that everyone voted said, yep, he was the best mid laner of the last year. They didn't do all that well going to Worlds and whatnot, but first week to NALCS, he's had a catastrophically bad performance in the early game.
Yeah, I mean, especially the second game, and that is where a lot of his kind of disadvantageous numbers have come from. He really was struggling. They're actually looking to set up a 3-man dive with the swap to TP from Hui.
Doesn't have teleport, so still looking flat, but he's going to chase down on this one. Here's the stun, ease him forward for the damage output, and that's going to be first blood to the CLG Gaming mid laner, and no easy way back to the lane for Solo.
This is actually brilliant from CLG. This planning, this preparation is insane. I mean, this is a dive onto Solo who has no TP because he had to use it to save Lyra, who was forced to flash because of the level 1. Like, this is so many steps in advance.
Yeah.
And setting up this dive, because Solo has no TP and the wave is pushing towards him, is so much more damaging for him you're getting put so far behind. You're losing all the experience. You're losing all of those minions. And not only that, but because the minion wave has bounced, it's going to mean Solo is in a position where he has to now, with no flash, no TP, move out into the lane and be vulnerable again to another gank or a kill. And that is a huge win for CLG. Like, that's a 10 CS GP.
Yeah. And it gets even worse because Lyra just walked over a ward going down past his wolf camp down to the bottom jungle. So CLG also knows there's no Zac anywhere nearby him right now. And round 2 could happen later on. So Logic Gaming off to a huge start off of wins in the top lane. And it's another game where Solo's stats will look bad and it's not entirely his fault. And that's just a rough place to be in, but such is the life of a top laner sometimes.
Yeah, there's not really that much he could have done about that one, I think, besides anticipating it and leaving very early. I mean, he had to use his TP to save his jungler, right? And it's not really on him.
Well, that's such is life right now, and I guess maybe a price you can pay sometimes for a slightly weaker early game jungler, and of course a great punish by Reignover, and you just got to credit almost everyone on CLG for how that got all set up. Looking now at the bottom lane, though, CLG looking better than they had been earlier on in the year, where they had been somewhat of a liability in the first week, and so far going equal. Of course, Ezreal, a high-priced champion, that was first picked by them in their first phase, and so far he's getting his money with Klepto and farming up.
It'll be interesting to see how much priority is actually going to be put on this early dragon, as they're trading pretty aggressively, because it is an Infernal, right? And if you can actually get that bot side advantage, transitioning that into the Infernal is even that much more advantageous. Obviously, Hui is going to have his teleport on cooldown for a little while, but Febiven is not going to have TP, and you can potentially swap to the double TP as CLG with Darshan also having Spellbook.
Getting a lot of damage. You're going to knock him right back into the team, and now this is not a good place to be for Reignover. He's getting hit a few more times, and Febiven gets his first kill of the game, and over-aggression gets punished by the level 6 mid laner. Hui, not 6 himself, still taking some more shots, and Febby has flash. Hui could flash to get away. We'll see if he takes it for one more. Gonna flash the auto attack. Shoot it slow. One more hit takes him in. And a solo kill for Febiven to end it all off. 2-1 Clutch Gaming.
I mean, that's honestly very reminiscent of last week for me, where Reignover has this amazing early game. He's doing all these clever things, and then it comes time where you have to actually adapt and you have to actually, not use a pre-planned strategy, and it's kind of falling short. Last week, he had this incredible start against Svenskeren, and he's playing on the Rengar, and then he just kind of wanders into the jungle and starts fighting 1v2 against the mid laner and the jungler and dies, giving up his flash. And here he doesn't even have a flash, and great, you found him, you can bully him out, but what are you going to accomplish by continuing to chase besides a little bit of HP? The mid laner has much closer access. This is a level 6 Azir. You are flashless. Not only does he give up his own life, he baits Hui in, who then loses his flash and gives up a kill. And that is just really, really short-sighted play, I have to say, from Reignover.
Yeah, it's rough stuff. Chasing for that one auto attack. I think we've all seen that in solo queue, and it's just not worth it ever. And the downside was there. Febby hit level 6 right as the fight was happening. Didn't understand it in time. Got knocked right back into the turret.
I mean, it's risk versus reward, right? What does he really get from that last auto attack? You're not getting a kill. You're getting a little bit of chunk damage. So that is your reward, with the potential being you die. And that is pretty scary to do. But either way, gold's still in CLG's favor, and they still are certainly doing very well on the top side, especially because of the early edges that they gained there.
I gotta say, Reignover not perturbed at all, walks right back into the jungle, steals the red buff away, and has a almost one level lead over Lyra. Lyra will hit 6 off this camp right here. We'll keep up, but again, a buff steal is a buff steal. It's a good thing. Should be an easy blue handoff as well, so Logic Gaming still in the driver's seat in this game, and as you mentioned a second ago, a lot of that is top lane, plus 30 CS right now. I do not envy Solo's position, and even though Gangplank is Klepto, we have Darshan farming up with his Frostfang as well, so yeah, his money's 200 ahead without even getting that first blood or any of the assists on it at all.
That's actually very interesting here. So Hui did have a Fairy Charm, which would lead me to believe he was going to be going for a tier-based build, but after that death actually sold it and decides to kind of bail out, perhaps feeling like he needs more combat power now that he's not in such a comfortable position, since he's given over a couple kills to Febiven. But either way, opting to change up the builds, but things definitely going very well on the top side for Darshan. And as I said, Vladimir is one of those champions that can set up dives extremely well, especially with Stopwatch early on. Pool can immune one tower shot. Stopwatch resets the aggro as well and immunes another tower shot, with Sejuani and her passive able to actually absorb a lot of extra damage because of that additional armor. You can definitely look for those aggressive plays, and it's something that they should be looking, I think, to continue to snowball, because while the desk was talking about the fact that last week early success on the top side was not able to be snowballed, it was a lot to do with comp, Zillion on the other side, and we also have to remember it was Darshan on Warren, whereas he is now playing a carry champion. So if you get Vladimir way ahead, you take over in team fights. ults.
Double ults in the bot lane. Apollo Naka looking for the 2-on-2 victory. Flash out, but still takes damage. Second bind's going to land a big knock, but a Biofrost and a re-engage on Apollo. One more hit, he'll stop.
Lyra's
Burn,
here, though.
Watch Lyra. Plus yield from Gangplank. The Q's not going to land. They hit it too early. That's the first kill. Stixxay is down, and now a Flashless and another root in there. This could be the kill onto one more Braum, but the re-engage coming across. The rest of the team is showing up. Solo cannot join this fight. He's already burned the ult, but a stun right there. Apollo flashing away. And the knockback on a Hako looking for 2 more kills. Going to get 1. Look for the second. The knockback. The auto's not quite going to land. A little body block for Lyra. Might have had a passive anyway, and that was going to be a nice trade, but a 1-for-1, I believe, in total kills.
Yeah, 1-for-1, but more resources, it feels like, expended from CLG. The TPS come down here as well. Febiven is actually pushing, so CLG is going to try to go for the first tier here. Lyra looking for the re-engage. That is very dangerous.
Where's the blob? It's no teleports to save the blob, so damage would kill him. The bind's going to land and put him under the turret, but not enough damage being dealt to Zhonya's, even though Huhi drops aggro.
Febiven's coming now. They are very far in here.
Likely kill here. Huhi in melee range. He's going to lose his life for that one, and will trade the kill over. Plus the assist actually makes it not worth it. More gold given over to Clutch Gaming.
And honestly, they do defend the turrets. So, you know, they keep that first turret alive. There's something to be said for that. Yes, it is a pretty expensive price to pay as far as the kills, but they do defend that turret, and so they've been able to have more time to get going here. This is just a very nice all-in, honestly, from the Clutch Gaming bot lane. They nailed the Varus ultimate, the Morgana ultimate lands, followed up by that binding, and Stixxay gets a little bit overconfident here, but the Hourglass is available, the GP ultimate is available, so when he shifts back in, he is kind of sealing his fate there since Lyra was in position, but TP is up now for Huhi. He's going to join. Nice little flash, just barely dodging the shot class and kind of buying them more time. A lot of little things it felt like went right. Lyra very intelligently blocking that one as well, keeping Hakuo alive.
I would criticize him slightly though. He ulted the Sejuani back towards his team instead of maybe away towards Tri-Brush. He actually helped seal Apollo's Doom. And this fight as well is actually +1 CLG overall as Lyra's dive in doesn't really accomplish much.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't. The only caveat I will give is that I think if you do not go back in, you're giving over first turret, right? And so you kind of have to calculate that in as well, and it's, well, is it guaranteed? Is it really worth it to give up that extra kill? Because it is a 2-for-1 trade, so CLG goes +1 in kills, but if you're making the argument that they would have guaranteed got that first turret, then a kill to defend that is probably worthwhile.
I agree.
It's just kind of, there's no for sure a way to know if it would have gone down.
Yeah, I agree with you, Azale. I think it does make sense. So they chose to go for the high-risk play to help secure the turret surviving, and it has done so far. That said, CLG still about 80% of the way through top lane turret right now. Darshan has been working that one down for a while. Solo burns his third TP now back into that lane yet again, and they've been playing for that landing phase. Another ulti coming across. We're going to bring for Hakuo. The bind's going to land in his face. That's going to be a very dead Sejuani. No longer Queen of the Trail this time around. As Febiven says, no, it's Shurima's time to shine. Knocks in Huhi as well. Toss built over away. A knock up on a Morgana, though. Jumping away, going to stay alive. And Solo contributing a lot for this one. Second kill for Febiven. Now Stixxay cannot make it happen. A triple for the Emperor. Shurima will reign yet again. 1,000 gold lead for Clutch.
That is a 5-0 Azir. 10 stacks on the Dark Seal. He is farming well. They're going to get an Infernal here. Huge swing for Clutch, and it just feels like CLG is trying so hard to force into Lyra's jungle, and they're really not in a position that they can do this. They're not so much stronger than their opponents. Their bot lane, you know, is behind. Their mid lane is actually behind at this point, and yes, you got the earlier jump, but the bot lane can collapse faster. Lyra gets a nice re-engage. In comes Febiven. It's a 4v2 at this point, and Reignover is dead before the bot lane has even really arrived, and there's not a lot that they can do from that point because Febiven has a very nice ultimate, keeping them safe. The GP ultimate onto 3 just as Stixxay shifts in again.
Yeah.
And while Solo is very far behind in the top lane in that 1v1, he
can help.
He can help, yeah. I mean, he has 4 assists picked up from the GP ultimates. He is going to be scaling, and unless Darshan can really get out on the map and start tearing things up, the advantage for him is not that big of a deal just yet.
Yeah, well, he finally gets turret. So, okay, first turret gold, Chronologic Gaming can keep their 200 gold lead as a result of his solo efforts. But, yeah, and I'm just going to keep calling back to what the analyst has talked about. The Clutch Gaming win condition is Lyra and Febiven go smash some kids. So far, that's looking great when they're a combined 6, 1, and 7 together. So, talking about great jungle mid duos, they're doing great. And CLG got one dive for Darshan and left him alone. Now he's going to get jumped on here, dodges away a shot from Solo, and Lyra going to say, are you trying to see my blue buff for real right now? He's going to find Reignover. They're going to knock him back. And here comes CLG looking to re-engage a 3-on-3 on this side of the map, and Smite fight going to go over towards Reignover. Solo forced to run away, gonna get stunned up. No oranges, no way out. Knockback comes in, a few more shots, but might still die to Vladimir. Immunes it with the hourglass gameplay activated there. Out they go, no deaths.
Now this makes a lot more sense though for CLG. Invade on your strong side. Your Vladimir is so big right now. Your bottom lane is losing. Invade the top quadrant. That is the fight you want to take because that is a way for Darshan to get involved. That is a way for you to really exploit the gold advantage because when you look to the top side, you know, that's like a 1,300 gold lead for CLG in the top lane, right? That means with this overall gold differential, they're down on gold basically everywhere else. You have to play around Darshan and make sure that he's involved in all these fights.
Well, so far he's 0-0-0, but he did get them the blue buff steal from his presence in and of itself. So
and some summoners, right? You know,
yeah,
they get the flash, they get the broken stopwatch now out of solo, and you're going to be able to actually try to extend that a little bit further by taking down the Rift Herald and maybe utilizing that to either break mid or try to push for a tier 2 top.
I just want to see a game where Darshan's player the game at 0-0-0 because none of his actual accolades are tracked in that scoreline. I'm actually happy to see either team win. I think they're both really fun teams to watch play, but either way, it'll be interesting regardless. Rift Herald picked up cleanly. Good job to Rainover. Getting some help from Darshan. His scoreline doesn't reflect that, but trust me, he was involved.
He was there, I saw.
Yeah, and so Clutch Gaming going back to the bot lane. 700 roots in a row, and down he goes. Flatline by the Zac jumping onto him. Hoping a little bit more, but they can't land the ulti, so out goes Biofrost.
I mean, the CC chains from Apollo and Hakuo have been on point. Hakuo nails another Varus ultimate, flash, ignite, ult, binding, everything committed from Hakuo to get that kill, and they're doing really well.
And I gotta blame Stixxay a bit. He is Ezreal with flash up, getting hit by a full range Varus ultimate. You're on land. You can dodge that if you're paying attention, and I mean, you should know how to play against Varus, so I mean, it's mistakes in the CLG duo.
And honestly, it's kind of been the story of the season so far for Stixxay. You know, he has been getting hit by these big ticket ultimates. In their first game, back-to-back Sejuani ultimates hitting him in the critical team fights from Svenskeren, taking him out in that one. In their second game, walking into kind of Malzahar ult range on Caitlyn, getting caught there, and here it is again. And I have to agree.
That's actually so unlucky.
That is a tough one.
Yeah, I can't blame him as hard. He could have flashed it, but yeah, he was, before he ever saw the R, was casting Mystic Shot, and he's actually locked out from then casting Arcane Shift anymore, so that's a little forgivable, but still, that is rough stuff. Stixxay 0-3-0 is still, I mean, that's a really bad scoreline, and CLG's losing a lot of ground in bot lane.
Yeah, I mean, they're down in farm. This is looking pretty good, honestly, for Clutch on the bot side, but again, very close game, and CLG, it's just becoming more and more, how can you kind of extend the advantage for Darshan? How do you get him involved and really utilize what's strongest for you? Whereas for Clutch, they're going to be looking more towards their strong side in the bot lane and in the mid lane, where they really have the advantages right now. And I think it's just going to come down to more who can kind of utilize their power points.
Yep. Let's talk about utilizing power points. Of course, on the CLG side, it is Darshan. And speaking of which, he'd help kill the Rift Herald, which is now summoned into the mid lane. And that turret is instantly dead, I'm pretty sure. Okay, gets it one more time, but slow action shoutcasting. Made it happen. Nice swipe there by Shelly.
No local gold actually going over to CLG, though, for that one. They did back off, it looked like.
I believe if Rift Herald last hits, you get local gold.
Okay.
And so Rainover should have gotten the 250 for that. I am pretty certain, but not 100% confident. Either way, though, that's a nice thing. But again, talking about power points, on the other side, there was the Clutch Gaming jungle mid duo, the 5-0-1. Fabivin, Malzahar, Azir, there we go on this one. We can see how they've done so far as duos. And yeah, a lot of time spent, Fabivin and Lyra together.
Yeah, certainly so. And Rainover and Muhi have actually spent quite a bit of time around each other as well, because it's been a lot of these 2v2 type fights, you know, in the jungle, around mid lane. And so far, it kind of has gone the way of Clutch. Certainly they have the more impressive scoreline. The gold is very even, though, and that really is kind of what matters more there. I will give the edge certainly over to Clutch so far, though, because Azir, simply put, is just, I think, a more powerful late game champion than Jace. I think that it's a lot easier to have these huge contributions in team fights, whereas Jace to me is more someone who kind of needs to push the pace in the earlier and mid game. Because when it gets to those late stages, it can be tough to really kind of weave in these shock blasts. It can be tough to jump in for these assassinations when there is someone like a Zac in your face, when there is someone, you know, like Hakuo on this Morgana, who if he catches you with one binding could take you out.
Absolutely, and props to Clutch Gaming for kind of withstanding a lot of that early deficit of the Zac, but now it's obviously paying off again, being able to dive into that back line. One of the easier turrets falls that he had summoned earlier, bit of damage on a Darshan. As he's maybe for the first time now really trying to join some team fights and play from Inferno Break that is respawn.
Yeah, I think it's a very important one for CLG to go for. Clutch already has one Infernal. You definitely do not want to give over a second Darshan is really strong right now. He just completed his Leandries. He is level 11 for the rank 2 ultimate. So he's going to be really strong if they can pull this off.
They can find here, damage on the Lyra, down about 3/4 HP, and the rest of the team gonna walk back. A nice stun's gonna land. Solo uses the orange and blocks away. Rain over, down to 5 HP. A Spec's gonna come through and gets taken out by the cannon barrage. One already, the jungler is gone, and Rain over can no longer be part of this fight.
And Clutch doesn't need to actually continue to force the fight. They've already taken out the jungler and can look to just push up the lanes, then start the dragon because they know they're in a 5v4 situation. They know they have the smite advantage, and securing this objective would really get them even more of a scaling edge. When you already have Azir, when you already have GP, it's such a big win for them if they can get it.
Big chunk down on a Hawkflow though, 400 HP on him. One more shock must might do a minute. Gotta wait for the...
Still has ult too.
Jumps again. Shot's not going to hit on Fevin for too much. Now to the back line. He's going to find some alone time with Solo. The gangplank forced a flash from the wall. Chased in though, and Vladimir going to get himself a kill. Sucks him right down. And a nice pickup there on the Drake. Now here we go in the next fight. As Solo is away, and Lyra kidnaps one, but not a lot to find there. Stixay alone in the backside goes down to Fevin. His 6th kill, I think, of the game now. Another knock of it for Lyra. Turns on the passive, and they've now got some alone time with Hakuo. And there's the kill onto Biofrost. Double kill so far with the Azir. Pops the hourglass to buy a few more seconds. Darshan, so it gets bounced up and taken down. 3 kills already for Azir. Ooh, onto the back line.
This could actually be a penta.
This could be number 4.
This could be the penta.
On towards Rain over. The bind is there. Give it to him. He deserves it. And a penta kill for Fevin in his 3rd game in North America.
You want to talk about stepping up for your team. This man on the Azir, he has 10 kills in 20 minutes. They're going for a 20-minute Baron, and Fevin is popping off.
That needs to be Majai's right now because it's been 10 stacked Dark Steel for too long. He is crushing it right now in this game. Double Infernal. Baron's going to be over. It's just a formality. Stixay does not have ulti to be able to snipe. It will go be taken to Clutch Gaming. And look at this massive lead now for the blue team. I
mean, this is just so well played by Fevin. Very patient. He's willing to sit around to wait and bide his time. The only people that are really taking a lot of damage, once we're into this 4v4 situation, is Lyra. That's it, right? He's the one who's in the front. He's soaking up the damage. He has his passive. Stixay is all the way over by himself, almost trying to pull off some sort of a flank there, it looked like, and kind of walked in very out of position. Fevin is untouched, Apollo is untouched. There's so much DPS coming through, and despite the fact that Darshan is very, very strong, he cannot do this on his own. He's being outranged, he's being kited through, and this ultimate so well timed from Fevin, holding in through the full fight, knocking Hui and Rain over out of the air and getting himself a pentakill in what is going to be one of the best plays of the year.
Oh, absolutely. He did so well in that fight. 10-0-2. He's obviously massive here onto this one. With the Baron buff now, it's time for Clutch Gaming to keep it going forward. Logic Gaming, a lot people have them very high right now, but are poised to start this season 0-3.
And when you're down 4K gold before turrets have even really started to collapse on this Baron push, and it's double Infernal, and I would say the scaling advantage over to the other team, like this lead is pretty massive. In my opinion, for Clutch, when you start to factor in scaling, when you start to factor in the amount of stats given by the Infernal and the potential gold on the map right now with this Baron buff, and they are really looking very, very strong. It's going to be a tough one for CLG to get back into, and really it still just feels like it's kind of all on Darshan to try to get something done, as he is on 3 items. He is still very strong. At level 13, you have your E and your Q max on the Vladimir, and your damage output is extremely high, but can he actually find that perfect flank? Can he actually get into the middle of everyone and take them out?
Well, he can hope for it. Hakuo's got Redemption, though, and a pretty high-ranked Black Shield at this point. It's going to be harder and harder to knock down any of these champions. No Locket yet underway for the squad, but that'll be even better against Vladimir a bit later on, as I assume Clutch picked it up at some point. Here's a knock-up in. Lyra wants to find someone else to grab, but not going to get it yet. Stun. A little bit later, the Black Shield wasn't in range for a while until he got that stun through, but Lyra will stay safe for now. Does have Warmog, so he'll heal back up without too much difficulty.
And one of the kind of sad parts about playing against a GP is even if you get very ahead at the start, if you do not continually pressure it, it doesn't really matter. I mean, he gets so much extra gold from his passive. He's actually tied on gold now with Darshan. After a catastrophic start to the beginning of the game, Darshan getting first turret and solo local gold from that as well.
Oh,
plus
Lyra.
the DPS advantage.
Lyra tried to help, or maybe just as every solo queue jungler ever, and said, no, look, I know you're Azir, but I need to finish my Thornmail.
I need
this blue buff. Yeah. So 10 CDR into Lyra, has the money to buy 3 extra control wards.
100 gold.
Vision wins games, that's what I said. He has the money to buy the control wards. Vision wins games, ladies and gentlemen. One more camp to Lyra, his to take.
So here's the solo queue jungler philosophy. Speaking from experience.
Yeah.
If the mid laner is doing poorly, they don't deserve the blue buff. And if the mid laner is doing well, they don't need the blue buff. So either way, I'm getting the blue buff.
Shout out to Mundo who took blue from me a couple weeks ago in solo queue. Thanks, buddy.
His ultimate is going to be up. He's going to carry the team fight.
I was cockma. I can use mana. Oh, well, we're into this one. 6,000 gold lead Clutch Gaming. Baron has timed out. They didn't make that much headway. I got to give some props to CLG defending everything past their outer line of turrets against that Baron buff. And now we're going to start suffering through the 6K deficit, which is certainly substantial, but we've seen bigger comebacks, so have to wait to see the rest of the game come through. Compositionally still difficult for the red team, but always a chance.
And it's all about positioning here for Clutch, right? You have an Azir, you have a Varus who are exceptionally powerful if they're untouched, if they're in good spots. But if they slip up, if they get caught by a Sejuani ultimate, the ultimate coming out of the Braum, and Vladimir is in there, hits everyone with his ultimate, and he's AoEing, then that can fall apart very, very quickly. Yeah. But with proper positioning, it's going to be really tough for Darshan to get in, and that's why side flanks covered by wards are very important. You don't want to allow Darshan to TP flank your carries, because as long as they are in the back line and you're fighting a kind of front-to-back type style, the amount of DPS that's being put out by these guys is just incredible at this point. And honestly, with the zonies completed on Febiven, it becomes even harder to take him down, even if you catch him from surprise.
The case right here, so we'll see if they can play this one smartly. Clutch Gaming, it is their game to lose. They can keep the push going. Apollo feels safe with the black shield on, knocks the turret down. Darshan looking. Goes Simic, gets exhausted, that's a kite right back out, so no damage dealt, really. Lyra holding the front line, is getting quite low, but it doesn't really matter. Redemption puts it back up to a decent amount of HP, and CLG forced to jump away. Looks for the shuffle and a 6-save, but gets away in time. Almost still falls. The soldiers, but he's not in range to auto attack now. Darshan at 400 HP, and there's a complete rout now. CLG forced out of their base. This is going to be mid inhibitor down.
Yeah, the mid inhib is going to crash, and top lane is pushing for Clutch. They could just go right back up there, but it looks like it's actually a TP here from Hui. He's trying to find some sort of re-engage, trying to keep them around. He knows they need to get some kills. They need to get something going, but it looks like Clutch has made it out scot-free and will be able to grab the dragon as well.
Yeah, got meaningful damage into Apollo, but not enough to kill him off, and no one else in range to help anymore. So the Cloud Drake's going to be a freebie. Clutch Gaming with no worries of anything else on the map. Gets a safe recall now as a result. Get to come back in now with an 8,000 gold lead and try round number 2 filling the base.
We'll be looking to do so. It just gets harder and harder because now you have to have someone kind of holding that mid inhibitor. And here's the fight once more. Darshan looking. It is a pretty good engage, but that exhaust was so fast before the E even goes off there for Vladimir. He has to retreat back. And if you do not get the early kills as CLG, the item advantages will come through here for Clutch. Fevin just not able to get the kill there on 6A. Big that he survived because it means the game doesn't just end. Yeah. But that being said, it's 0 for 0 in kills. You lose your inhibitor turret, you lose your inhibitor, and the pressure is just mounting more and more.
Yep, and they add the out-of-combat move speed as well from the Drakes. CLG got what they could with the downtime during the recalls. They got that top scuttle, which will let them watch Clutch put wards around the Baron area over the next 40 seconds or so. As you can see, this is coming down right now. 2 wards revealed without control, and Clutch Gaming now can choose. Do they wait 30 seconds for Baron? That answer is likely yes, although they can probably just siege as well. And either one of those options are, very likely to close the game out. CLG needing larger and larger miracles to come back into this game.
Yeah, and I think as long as they play patiently, allow GP to push up the bot lane. Hui does not have his TP. Darshan is not using a TP right now, so Gangplank can just put on free pressure on the bot side. Until someone actually comes to respond to him, Clutch should not even get close to CLG. You stand far back, you make at least one person answer the GP. When that happens, then you're even more confident, I think, in a 4v4. Yep. Like if Darshan shows bot, you'll take the 4v4 against the rest of CLG every single time.
And they just saw it. They pinged out Darshan coming through the jungle. He's trying to hide in the brush, but Solo kind of knows what he's up to. Yep, spots him with the barrel. Walks away from the E. Even jukes the true shot barrage.
And look at all the minions on the bot lane, right? Yep. Those are on the turret right now. They're actually, losing that experience, losing that gold, taking some turret damage. They're trying to deal with the mid lane turret here well. And Solo just going to go right back down there and start actually pressuring the turret himself. If someone does not respond very quickly, he can knock this turret down. At the same time, they're 2-manning Baron. They need to back off, though, and not engage.
And pulls CLG out one more time.
Turret's
gone. The Baron attempt as Solo is getting alone time, and you're right, no one of CLG even close to defend that one.
Inhibitor's going to be gone, too.
Yeah, it's going to fall pretty soon on this one. Solo has to respect when he might get flanked, but yeah, he's still safe for this one. Again, they pulled CLG into the river. One person missing, Vlad coming to help.
I mean, Darshan cancels his back there. They're really kind of debating how do we actually answer this, and it just seems like Clutch has outmaneuvered them, has outpositioned them on the map. Darshan's running back and forth, can't decide, and I think at this point CLG has said, we need an all-in fight, we need the Baron, or we lose, but Solo is just looking to end the game.
Going for
his Clutch is going to run away.
Darshan walks back and forth across the net, this time finally going back into the base. Lyra has Warmogs. This damage does not matter whatsoever on the jungle champion.
And now Clutch has the bot lane inhibitor down, which makes the Baron hilariously easy to take because there's 2 waves of super minions there. If you have Darshan in base, he's got to at least change the TP, and he does that with the Unsealed Spellbook, but they can look for a fight now.
Looking for it now. Q and Auto, they pull the 2 tanks in forward. Apollo gonna go for the ult. Not gonna land this one though, so now an ultimate is missing. Stixate, nice arcane chip gets away from the Morgana binding.
Comes Solo.
And here comes the re-engage. Barrels up, can land the chain. Nice shot by Huhi. I think tried to get rid of the barrel. Couldn't quite get that one, but no damage really dealt. Lyra again at 1/3. 2-shot barrage across an 800, but look at that. The Black Shield preemptively blocks the Sejuani stun, and in about 8 seconds, Lyra's gonna go start regenerating back to full HP.
Yeah, he certainly is, and as he gets back to high health, they can just start this Baron straight up because Azir knocks it down so incredibly quickly. This is almost a full item Azir with the triple soldiers. You get your attack speed bonus. You start to really shred through it. Darshan's still down, trying to answer these super minions, and Solo's going to start splitting on top side, which I like quite a bit. As long as they have the vision to protect him, as long as they're willing to play patient like this, you can just kind of grind this game out.
Oh, the knock up onto the backside, looking to bring in Sticks. They're going to do that. Lights out to Ezreal. The bot lane is gone already. A combined 0, 8, and 3, and now on a Reignover, running for dear life, 1,000 HP. Barrel's just going to slow. Autos to come through. The Golden Bear does not matter. Down he goes. Clutch was all about getting rid of some Golden Bears, and now looking to run into the mid lane. That was a stretch. We're going to move on, though, as the mid lane's going to start falling one more time. Only 2 left to stay alive.
There's no way to defend this 2v5 against a team that is so far ahead with double Infernal. Darshan's going to try, though.
And he's going to just run away down a little pool of blood. Sniped and taken out for the 4th kill in a row. The Nexus turrets are gone. A 31-minute victory for Clutch Gaming, improving to 2-1. Improving in the standings. A great victory starting out week 2 properly.
Honestly, just really nicely done from Clutch Gaming, and an incredible performance from Febiven. That is what Clutch Gaming was hoping to see when they picked this guy up. We heard so much about this as Envy with upgraded solo lanes, and Febiven puts on the hard carry today.
Yeah, he did phenomenally. 12, 0, and 3. Just incredible step out of them. So Clutch Gaming now doing very well. Obviously for 2-1. To explain myself earlier, they beat Golden Guardians, then they killed a Golden Bear.
You have to explain the joke, Freak. The joke sucks. You need to accept that golden rule.
The joke sucked. I moved on now.
Yeah.
So hugs and happiness. I like that one. And yeah, you know, Febiven beats his old teammate. I do like that there's a lot of because how many roster shuffles happened this year, you've got a lot of ex-teammates here. So Febiven and Reignover, of course, part of that incredible Fnatic run from a couple years back. Looks like Febi gets round 1 here. They will rematch later on, but yeah, Clutch 2-1, CLG 0-3.
Honestly, a very concerning start for CLG, the way in which they're losing these games. I think that their preparation coming into the games is honestly very good. Their level 1s, their early game strategies seem very intelligent, they're well executed, but it feels like once you have to improvise, everything is kind of going off the rails. It feels like they're making poor decisions. I mean, their early game gave them such a huge advantage on the top side. Really pushed out the jungler. Everything seemed like it was really going their way, and then Reignover kind of pulls off this almost like semi-risky kind of mid-lane play where he's in between the 2 turrets trying to get damage on Zac. He gives up not only his life, but who he dies for it. That kind of starts the snowball for Febiven. The bot lane's still doing poorly for CLG, and honestly, it's looking very, very concerning.
It's weird because I heard you mention that like ad-libbing is difficult for CLG because the first 5 minutes was ad-lib. Like, okay, we burn the E. Okay, is jungle clear slow? I'm going to evade him on blue. Okay, we force a TP out. Okay, we're going to tower dive top. Like, that was super sick. And that's prime CLG. That's top-end CLG, MSI Finals CLG back there. But then you're right. Like, the next 20 minutes was like, okay, so Vladimir's ahead and Ganglink's behind. Let's fight around bot lane without Vlad TP. Over and over again.
It just feels like it's almost like a lack of understanding of like the state of the map or where they should be or where they can go. I mean, you know, to your point, you know, constantly invading on the bot side of the map where their bot is losing, you know, not playing around Darshan where they are winning. Why not do those invades on the top side, looking to be pressuring the tier 2 earlier, looking to knock down those turrets earlier, snowball Darshan. So definitely left with a lot of questions, and certainly another disappointing performance though for 6A, 0-5-0, no kill participation at all. They were behind in lane. Not really having much of an impact so far for CLG this season.
Well, we'll see if they can turn it around. They've got still more games to play, but for now, let's send it down to Avali May and the Clutch Gaming mid laner.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Febiven. Congratulations on that game. Finishing it off, you got a pentakill halfway through. At what point in this game did you know the win was yours?
Well, I think once I got 5 kills, I think it was kind of over. Like when they randomly just died, I was like, what the fuck are they doing? Like, you know, I was like, how? I was like, why are they inting? You know, and then I was so fed, and then I was kind of surprised I get 5 kills in a row because usually you get like 2 or 3, you know, but actually my team gave me the penta, so I'm really happy about that as well. It's actually my first penta kill in competitive, so I'm really happy.
Well, congratulations on your first penta and in a game against one of your former teammates, no less. You played against Rainover. How was that experience?
Yeah, it's kind of cool to play against my old teammate. Also last week against Huni, even though he was kind of smurfing the whole game. But it doesn't really affect me too much. Like, obviously it's fun, but he's just another enemy, you know.
Now, people are looking at you and Lyra as the jungle mid duo. What are your thoughts on playing with him?
I think Lyra is a really good player. He's really sufficient, like, as a jungler. And I think all of the Korean junglers actually have this. They're all really, like, efficient in their pathing and their clear. Obviously, we still have weaknesses, but I'm really happy about his strengths, and I'm pretty good working with him. So I'm pretty excited to keep working with him.
Wonderful. And you play against Team Liquid tomorrow. What do you think about the match for tomorrow?
Yeah, TL is a really good team. I really respect all their players. But I think I can manage to win mid, and then I think we can get a lead. And yeah, I'm pretty confident we can do really well. And if we lose, it's just whatever, you know, like, just go next.
Well, congratulations again on your win, and thank you so much for this interview. For more on that game, let's hear it from our friends at the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, Avali. That was a very fun interview. Yeah. Hearing from Febiven as he gets his first pentakill in competitive play. Also the first pentakill of the North American LCS 2018 Spring Split. And Clutch Gaming, they moved to 2-1 as a result. CLG 0-3 to kick off the split. I want to reapproach our win conditions as laid out from the top of the day. So let's kind of remind the viewers here, Jat, how was Clutch Gaming going to win this?
I said by just throwing everything at mid lane. And CLG then threw themselves at mid lane in a disorganized fashion. I agreed with Febiven. What was CLG doing? He used more colorful language than I did. But how often have you seen a 5-kill Azir get a penta on his own side of the map?
Right.
Like, why are they diving into that Azir?
I can't answer that, but I will say the win conditions on my side were mostly played towards. There was a lot of stuff going on in the early game to get Darshan set up, and it looked like, you know, early on, both Jad and I were like, oh, this looks really bad. Like,
looked great for CLG.
Yeah, Clutch Gaming looked like they're going to get snowballed on completely.
Let's start rolling through some clips then. Let's take a look at CLG's early game. Again, one of the orgs that's been known as putting together very strong level 1s and early games. They execute on some stuff here pretty well.
Everything worked great here. You push the mid laner back with Jace presence. You then do the invade to push him off his blue buff. You get his passive. You get the teleport from the top laner. The stage is set for the CLG win.
And yeah, it was a great play overall. It's one of those things that's just like a snowball of events. Because he starts E, he's further behind. Rainover gets to his blue quickly, gets that out, and then
got a mid lane teleport against a cleanse mid laner so he can't match. You're like, man, these guys are on it.
There's a massive wave crashing into the turret, so when Solo dies here, it's not this kind of early game death where you just teleport back from it and it's not that bad. And so
then that's why I predicted CLG.
Right, things are looking good, but we have to remind ourselves that was only about 5 minutes of gameplay, right? So that's still very early on into the game that CLG looks like they're off to the right start. They quickly turn things around, though, with a suspect invade and quasi
Watch Febiven, he's level 5.
Like, level
then
5?
He hit 6. So this one, while it was bad, was also unlucky because he didn't expect him to be level 6, and Febiven made the instant turn. I credit Febiven with this turn mostly.
Okay. That's fair. That's a good call out. He hit 6 off
Knowing
the minion.
he'd be 6 off the minion, immediately shifting in to get the ult back and punish the invade.
Right, but those are the first 2 kills that go in the pocket of Febiven, as was stated. A heck of a lot more to start rolling in. Let's take a look at that pentakill. 20-30 into the game for Febiven. First pentakill of the North American.
And this is really reminiscent of the problems that CLG have plaguing them a lot last year where they just don't know when to stop. They were synonymous with getting aced pre-20 minutes. And here, it's right after 20 minutes, but once again, Rainover went too far forward, died, and they still contested this Dragon. You don't need to take it. It is the second Infernal. I understand that's really scary versus a team fight, team comp, but this is the other result. You're trying to get on top of a 5-0 Wazir who had his ult a minute into this fight. Like, they never pressured the 5-0 member, so Febiven was just free to destroy them, gets the pentakill, Baron right off the back of it.
Yeah, Rainover managed to die twice during the same fight. Like, he died at the very start, they contested 4v5, then it was 1v3, and he decided to make it a 2v3, so he'd die again.
Who killed Rainover the first time? Was that a
I think it was
that a
Febiven.
hexa-kill?
They made a hexa kill. We'd have to go back and look at the footage to verify. Either way, 5 kills is plenty for Nazir. From there to Baron picked up rather cleanly, as you mentioned, and then closing out the game.
Yeah, and as someone who predicted CLG to win this game, this was very frustrating to watch.
This is painful.
I mean, to be fair, the coin picked him as well, and so he's hurting just as much as you are, I'm sure, Jad.
Mark gets the coin if he beats it at the end of the day. Because Mark and I predictions are the same for the rest of the day.
Right.
So I think Clutch Gaming did what they had to do after they had some things go against them, so you have to credit them for keeping their cool and Febiven for his perfect Dazir play. But there's a big but there. CLG was feeding when they didn't have to.
Okay.
They had a 50 CS lead on a Vladimir, a free first turret, an automatic win that will draw pressure. All they had to do was neutralize the rest of the map and wait for the team fight phase. But instead, they actually played not around Vladimir, but they allowed the Gangplank, who was in a giant hole, to get assists in fights by fighting in GP Ultimate on the other side of the map. Like, the first 5 minutes were great. The rest of it was a disaster.
Right, Mark, close us out on this point, because you had said stabilize bot lane while Darshan gets rolling. Well, Darshan got rolling, right? So that's one half of the equation. The other half didn't come through.
Right, and you don't need to play around the Vladimir the entire game. You can go bottom, but there's a difference between, you know, going bottom and pressuring it and diving into their jungle way too deep and taking bad fights. And that's why this is such a painful loss for CLG, because this isn't, we got outdrafted, they did some smart stuff. It was like, we looked bad at portions of this game.
All right.
They're going to win tomorrow, though.
Oh my God,
Jad's still going. He's still pushing the narrative.
No, he's got to shill it. He's got to shill it so he can sell.
Not good in this game.
All right, 2-1 for Clutch Gaming, 0-3 for CLG. My analysts are falling apart at the beginning of week 2. I love it. Up next, we've got TSM versus Optic Gaming. As we go to break, here's a look at the mid lane matchup and some of the history behind it. Power of Evil versus Bjergsen.